Have you ever felt burdened by your past decisions? Maybe it's something you never said, or something you can't forget. It still pulls, still whispers. The house sat quietly near the edge of town, part old wood, part glass, where memories creaked in the floorboards and hope warmed the kitchen tiles. It wasn't grand, but it had a view. From her small writing desk by the window, Eleanor, a midlife therapist who'd long ago stopped calling herself young, could see the river winding past the foot of the hill. Every morning, she made tea, not in a rush, but in a kind of ritual, like her grandmother once had. And every morning, she sat by that window, watching the same water flow past the same rocks, never asking where it came from or where it was going. That river never demanded anything, and yet it healed her. Eleanor Hart had worked with people for over 20 years. They came in with stories, fractured, heavy, hopeful, mothers who were tired, daughters who never felt seen, men who carried guilt like it was a family heirloom, lovers who couldn't let go, sons who stayed silent for decades. They all wanted the same thing: peace, but without the pain of change. But peace isn't something you achieve. It's something you return to. Most people don't know that. They believe peace comes after everything is fixed, mended, forgiven. But Eleanor had learned, peace comes when we stop trying to fix what was never ours. One evening, after her last client had left, Eleanor opened an old wooden drawer. Inside was a faded envelope, edges curled like autumn leaves. It was addressed in her own handwriting to someone she hadn't spoken to in over a decade, to the version of me who tried too hard. She unfolded the letter. You thought being good meant being useful. You thought love meant sacrifice. You thought silence meant strength. You thought fixing everyone would save you. She smiled sadly. She remembered the woman who wrote those words. She was always standing at the riverbank of someone else's life, throwing ropes across, building bridges, swimming in storms that weren't hers. Eleanor often used a story in her sessions, not from a textbook, but from life. The bridge, she would say, does not stop the river. It doesn't scream at the water to change direction. It doesn't blame the rain or the rocks or the current. It simply stands where it's meant to stand, strong, still, and letting everything pass beneath it. People always fell quiet when she told this story, because somewhere deep inside, we all want to be the bridge, but we live like we're the dam. On a gray afternoon, just before spring began to warm the soil, Eleanor heard a knock. It was Clara Jensen, one of her very first clients, now in her 40s. She held a small package and looked nervous. I wanted to thank you, Clara said softly. Eleanor invited her in. The kettle whistled. The tea warmed their hands. I used to think, Clara said, that letting go was the same as abandoning people. That if I didn't carry them, I was selfish. Eleanor said nothing, just listened. Clara continued. But the truth is, I was drowning, and carrying people was how I stayed busy, so I didn't have to feel alone. She opened the box. Inside was a small stone, smooth, dark, simple. I carried this in my bag for years. You told me once, maybe you need a ritual to put it down. So here I am. They walked to the river together. Clara placed the stone gently into the water. The river didn't clap. It didn't pause. It just accepted. That night, Eleanor sat at her desk and wrote, "Letting go is not walking away. It's choosing to stand still when everything in you wants to chase. It's breathing without fixing. It's watching the river and knowing, I do not have to become the current." She thought of all the bridges she had crossed in her life, the ones she built, the ones she burned, the one she stood on too long. She thought of the people, still trying to be strong, by holding everything together. And she wished they knew. Strength is not in the grip, it's in the release. Dear reader, you may not have a river outside your window, but I know you've stood at the edge of emotional floods. You've carried people who never asked to be carried. You silenced your own needs so others could feel safe. You've confused responsibility with love. But hear this. You can still be kind and stop saving everyone. You can still love and let people go. You can still be strong and put down what's too heavy. Let the river flow. Be the bridge. And don't forget, you're allowed to rest. The river doesn't ask why you finally let go. It just takes what you give it and carries it away. If this story touched something inside you, you're not alone. Subscribe for more stories like this. Quiet truths to help you live lighter, love deeper, and let go gently.